Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2022 Louisville Urban League Annual Impact Report Luncheon. Please welcome Dr. James Etta Ferguson, who will give the invocation. After the invocation, please remain standing for the singing of the Black National Anthem.
Let us pray. Holy One, we come to you today asking for open hearts and minds as we listen to and embrace the impact of the work done by Louisville Urban League within our various communities. We are grateful for the Holy Ghost's boldness of Urban League, their leadership, their staff and partners who address racial and social injustices in and around Louisville and the state of Kentucky. Now, God, we pause to ask you to cover Dr. Kish Kumi Price as the new visionary leader of this great institution. She stands on the shoulders of many great leaders. Build her up and strengthen her for the journey ahead. Help Urban League, Dr. Price, and other community leaders to engage in meaningful discussion. Allow us to grow closer as your people and to nurture the bonds of community. God, we humbly ask that as the difficult and long-suffering work is being done, let us as God's people learn to show more compassion toward the least of these, and let us love our neighbors more deeply so that we can create a more peaceful and just Louisville. Inspire us to use our gifts and graces to build the agents of change we need to put in place to overcome the obstacles of bigotry and intolerance for all people, regardless of race, religion, culture, socioeconomic background, and gender identity. Help us to always remember we need one another. As another year draws to an end, we know there is much work to be done. God, so we ask you to help us to do the work that needs to be done to rebuild this community. Help us, oh God, to fill the void for those who feel they have no voice to speak or have been ignored and disenfranchised. Help us to discern and prioritize the work you have called us to do. Lord, there's so much to do, so much. So please, God, let the work that we do not be work of idleness, but make it work that is positive and will make a tangible difference in the lives of the people that we serve. We lift you up, God, because we know that you use people like each one of us in this venue as your hands and feet in this community. And so we ask now for your wisdom, your guidance, but most of all, we ask for your help in showing us the way to be the change that we want to see. We ask all these prayers in the name of God and God's Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
the faith that the dark path has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died, yet with a steady beat have not our weary feet come to the place for which our fathers sighed. We have come over a way that with tears have been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered. Out of the gloomy past, here now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who has brought us thus far on our way, thou who has fought thy mind, let us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee, lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadowed beneath thy hand, may we forever stand true to our God, true to our native land.
Good morning. Good morning. There we go. It is such an honor to be here today. I am Jamie Goldsmith with Superior Maintenance Company, and I would like to welcome you all to the 2022 Louisville Urban League Annual Luncheon. Superior Maintenance Company is proud to be a presenting sponsor of this year's event. We all know, and I would like to publicly applaud the Louisville Urban League for its amazing leadership and its commitment to the community. We all know that this community, especially to those that are in need and in which they serve, are better off because of the hard work and dedication from the Louisville Urban League. Superior Maintenance Company, just like the Urban League, is committed to improving a more positive outcome for the city of Louisville. And in order to accomplish that, it will take a collective effort from all of us in this room to make that happen. And with that being said, thank you all for coming and welcome.
Greetings. I am Victoria Russell, Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer for Beam Suntory, an industry world-leading premium spirits organization, bringing you iconic brands produced right here in Kentucky, like Jim Beam under the James B. Beam Distilling Company and Maker's Mark. We are a proud sponsor today and really proud of our partnership with the Louisville Urban League and thrilled to be the presenting sponsor today. We are also excited to be a part of this year's event as it's the first luncheon for the league's new president and CEO, Kish Kumi-Price. We are looking forward to hearing more from her later today about the work that has been done and the work that remains to be done by all of us here today. We hope you all enjoy today's event. Thank you and have a great time.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the chair of the Louisville Urban League Board of Directors, Kimberly Cisnet.
Good morning. Welcome to the 2022 Louisville Urban League Annual Luncheon. My name is Kimberly Cisnet, and I am the chair of the Board of Directors. Thank you, Jamie and Victoria, for welcoming us all. If it weren't for companies like yours, the work of the League would not be possible. I also want to thank our other presenting sponsor, Kroger. To our new market president, Jake Cannon, and our other board member, Alan Quinkert, thank you for being a great partner to the League. To our other sponsors who made today's events possible, Churchill Downs, PNC, LDG Development, Humana, CenterWell, LG&E, and Louisville Public Media. Thank you. We have an exciting day ahead. And like me, I hope you're all excited to hear from the special guest, the incomparable Zernona Clayton. And yes, as well as our new president and CEO, Dr. Kish Price. Today is also an opportunity to raise funds that support our programs that you will learn about later. The easiest way to give today during the event is to text LUL to 243-725. You can also utilize the pledge cards on your table and pass it off to a League staff member on your way out. Thank you in advance again for your support of our mission. But for now, please enjoy your meal and be sure to check out the vendors in the back from Melanair Marketplace who are towards the back of the room. We will be back with you shortly. Thank you.
We are going to continue with our program. In her book, The Three Mothers, How the Mothers of Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, and James Baldwin Shaped a Nation, author Anna Malika Tubbs wrote, "What is most revolutionary in the lives of these three women was their ability to push against, break down, and step over each and every challenge that came their way. They saw themselves and their children as being worthy of life, worthy of rights, and worthy of grace. Through this radical acknowledgement of their own selves, they survived and joined Black American women around the country who contributed to the strides and accomplishments of their larger community. Simply believing they were entitled to the right to live, despite what they were told from the moment they were born, they gave themselves to a larger movement for Black freedom." Good afternoon, my name is Lyndon Pryor and I'm the Chief Engagement Officer at the Louisville Urban League, and it is my distinct honor to introduce today's panel. Like the three women I just spoke about, Black women have always given themselves for Black freedom, and honestly, the freedom of this country. They have served as both compass and engine as we have struggled to find our way to our best selves, at least when we've had the good sense to listen to them.
Each of our panelists today are no different. Phenomenal Black women shaped precisely in that mold, fighting to make this city and this country live up to its ideals. So from the stage, today you will hear from Mrs. Nyree Clayton Taylor, the 2019 Kentucky Elementary Teacher of the Year, founder of HHN2L, and co-founder of Justice Now, JCPS. Please welcome Ms. Taylor to the stage. Our next panelist is Ms. Brianna Wright. She is a legislative assistant to Councilman Ja'Cory Arthur, serving Louisville Metro District 4. She is also an entrepreneur, political organizer, and youth mentor. Please welcome her to the stage. Our third panelist is now no stranger to Louisville, as she was with us last year. Please welcome back the incomparable and amazing civil rights leader and an entrepreneur, Ms. Zernona Clayton. And finally, I have the distinct pleasure of welcoming two women who I've had the great honor of serving alongside and being able to follow as they lead. First is Sadiqa Reynolds, who is the current CEO of the Perception Institute and the former president and CEO of the Louisville Urban League. And serving as moderator for today's conversation is Dr. Kish Kumi Price, the new president and CEO of the Louisville Urban League. Please welcome our panel.
Well, I am going to put on my glasses so I do not take a super L. But thank you all for being here. And I will say these ladies are, you know they're amazing. But I'm going to also say that some of us like to talk to people one-on-one and in small groups and are not down for the masses, right? So I appreciate the folks, and I'm not going to name them, but that stepped up, and I'm including myself, to say that we were going to do this and have this important conversation. So let's get started. And I will say, too, this is going to be a little difficult because we could talk with each one of these women for days, right? So we're going to try our best to have this conversation amongst each other and also with you all. So we'll kick off with the first question. When people typically address inequities, they start with race or gender. They hardly ever start with the intersection of race and gender. And that means that we're missing the folks that have been most marginalized in America, Black women. So why do you think it is important to center Black women's lived experiences in the pursuit of equity? And I'd love to start with Ms. Clayton.
I believe, which one?
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot.
Zernona Clayton.
Go, Nyree, go.
You got that on her too.
Go.
I don't know.
I love it. Go for it. Go ahead, Nyree.
Okay. So I think when I always think about the classroom because that's where I am. And I think about the Black girls in that classroom. I think when we start to center Black girls, especially in education, then Black girls see themselves as mathematicians. Mm-hmm. Why should they see themselves as mathematicians? Well, let me explain it to you. They part their hair. Mm-hmm. They braid their hair. They get up in the morning. They get their brothers and their sisters to school so they can estimate. Mm-hmm. They are constantly in the mirror, putting on eyelashes, know how much glue to put on to make this eyelash look like this eyelash. They have those skills within themselves, but they're not brought out in the educational system. Mm-hmm. And I know that when I was younger, if someone would have told me that, Nyree, you're a scientist, you already make noodles, you already know that all these lived experiences that you have, I'm proud of where I am, but there's no telling where I would be right now.
That is amazing, yes. And I think it's interesting that you just said that about the application of what that curriculum looks like, right? Because we've had a lot of pushback about culturally responsive curriculum and what that means for our kids. Can you give some follow-up real quick about your thoughts on that?
Well, I just believe that we're going to have to do it within ourselves. Culturally responsive teaching is just teaching to the truth of the students that are sitting in your classroom. When we are teaching, we need to look inside of the child and not in a deficit mindset, but what the student already brings into the classroom. Like I said, there's no need to teach Black girls, Black boys resilience. They are resilient.
Born resilient.
There's no need. There was a while ago to teach grit. Why would I teach grit to the students that are in my classroom?
Yes.
They have grit. The conversation needs to change with the adults that are impacting the students. And so what culturally responsive teaching does, it allows for those monetized voices to be heard. Yes, there is a law in our state that pushes back on teaching truth in the classroom. But what is truth? What is truth? Truth is different for me and it's different for everyone. But when you are in, where I've taught, Wheatley Elementary or, these marginally Black schools, they want to know. And so it is our responsibility as educators to teach them the truth.
That's good. Thank you. And so to Ms. Zernona, can you share a little bit about your thoughts on why it's so important for people to know and be able to relate to Black women's lived experiences?
Okay, first let me tell the audience, I know you may be surprised, but here I am, I'm back again. Well, you have to remember that, I don't know how old they are up here, but I've been around a long time. And also, I think I'm gonna do something I don't always do, is tell you how old I am, so you'll have sympathy for me and understand. But I'm 92 years old.
Wow.
Wow. But the reason I wanted you to know that is that my perception is different. These are young people. And so we are now talking about, women versus girls versus images. But in my early years, we were trying to teach Black people just to feel good about themselves, period. I remember I got a scholarship to go to the University of Chicago following college, and there was a span of time I wanted a job. So I went to apply for the Chicago Board of Education, and they hired me right away. I didn't tell them I was going to be there a short time, but at least they hired me. And I was busy trying to tell those children, boys and girls. I had them all to go to the windows and said, look out the window. And what do you see? Trash, litter, junk. Awful environment. That's what they came through to get into the classroom. And I said, now that's what we call junk. I want you to see it outside because I want you to leave it outside. You are inside now. We're going to talk about how we're going to grow up to be somebody. And that was the terminology everybody used. Hope you'll grow up to be somebody. So I was teaching my kids. First, I wanted to boys and girls, because they were all black, to grow up to be somebody, have some goals. So I didn't come into this movement until later, when now we're talking about opportunities for women. We didn't have opportunities for any blacks when I came on the scene. So I was busy trying to give some hope and some determination and some goals for just black people to grow up to be somebody.
Wow.
That's my comment.
Thank you. Thank you for that. So the next question I would like to pitch over to Brianna. And the question being, can you please share with us a time in which you felt like you were being played as a black woman?
Okay. A time I was played as a black woman, or they tried to play me.
Okay.
When I was asked to work on a campaign this year, and I agreed to it. I met with the candidate, they were cool. And I get asked all the time to work on campaigns after Councilman Arthur's campaign, and I've never worked on another one. But this candidate I really believed in and wanted them in office. And so I met with their campaign manager, and I'm like a math person, so I really connected when you say mathematician. I come up with formulas to predict how people are going to go about with the campaign and what precincts they need to go to, yada, yada. Anyway, so I was telling them, I would love to do your maps, your canvassing maps, and tell you where to start based on how I think voters are going to turn out. And they said, send us the formulas, we'll check if they make sense, and we might hire you. And so I explained, why that didn't make any sense to me, and they were adamant, like, if you want to be on this campaign, send me these formulas. That was the manager, not the candidate. So I never worked on that campaign, obviously, but that was the time they were trying to play me.
Yeah. And you're right. Yeah, did try for
Right.
sure. But, I think that's something that happens on a more regular basis than any of us talk about. We feel it, we experience it, it hurts. And then you don't even feel like you have a safe place to share it, to change it, because then you get blackballed or whatever. But the stealing of intellectual property of black people is a real thing. And so I would like to now go to Sadiqa, because I know you are adamant about not being played. And I would love for you to share with us. I would love for you to share with us whatever you want to share with us on that.
Oh, I thank you, Kish. It's so exciting for me to be on this stage with you. It's pretty emotional. I just want people to know that. Somebody asked me how it feels. It's emotional. And to be truthful, it feels so good to be here with you and to see you, sister, walking in your power. I'm going to go to the first question, since you said I could say anything. I think that it's important for us to understand and talk about black women, because I think if black women are safe, then the world is safe. I think we have it in us to take care of everyone, and we always have. Even back when in slavery, you hear stories about black women, mothers, having to make decisions about which child should answer the door. What was the threat on the other side of the door? So we have always weighed what was right for our community, what was best, and we always understood that if we took care of us, if you take care of us, we take care of everybody. And if you think about who is leading the households, why wouldn't we be encouraging girls? Why wouldn't we be talking about and centering black women's needs? Because in fact, that is what will change the world. And we have never held power and held it only for ourselves. We are the best at sharing and making space for others, I think, as evidence, I think, by your presence and my presence here and their presence here and even what you're doing now. And to your next question about being played, the truth is, and Christina Shado always said this, to run an urban league or to do anything of any substance, black people are always playing chess when the rest of the world can play checkers. We always have to think 2, 3, 4 steps ahead. It's exhausting, it is draining. It is amazing to me that any of us contain our mental health, because it is constantly, and I can tell you, I had a man in this community, a very powerful man, sit me down once when I was planning to run for judge. I had been the first black woman to clerk for the Kentucky Supreme Court. I had been other things. And he sat me down and said, "Who gave you permission? Who gave you permission? You did not," he said, "nobody knows you. You didn't kiss the ring." He actually said it. He is still active and powerful in this city, in this community. And I said to him, "Sir, you are the first person who told me that you existed. I'm not against kissing rings. I just didn't know you had one." So I don't know. My life has worked out, but he has really never been supportive of me in all of the year. I mean, a little bit. He moves a little bit. But I see him with his thumb on the necks of other black people in this community. And I know that he has not changed. And so I know that this is still going on. And it's just sad for us, Kish. It really is. And I think we always just have to be aware of it.
I'm so glad. Thank you for that answer. Very transparent answer, because if you heard what she said and then you heard under what she said, it is the grace that I think a lot of black people, but definitely black women, carry, that we know we've been wronged. We have to think 2 steps, 3 steps, 4 steps ahead. So it's like, is it even worth me putting this person out there? What is that going to do for me? And for our community. And so at times you remain silent about injustices that you've endured personally. So it leads me to another question about how systems are designed to mute and silence black women. And if you can share some thoughts about ways in which you feel like systems have been designed to mute or ignore black women. And I will give an example just to kick us off, because this has happened. I've experienced it in my professional life, and I've had other females that have talked about this as well, and black males, that there are attempts when they know that an injustice has occurred, immediately there's an effort to silence you in documentation. Sign this non-disclosure agreement. We go part ways here, but we don't want you saying nothing bad about what we did or what we're doing, right? And that's a systemic thing. So I would like to ask if you all have thoughts about other ways that you've seen systems designed, and I know it's a big question because there's so many obvious ways, but I guess I'm asking from your personal seat and lens and experience, things that maybe we don't talk about or need to talk about more.
I find that a lot of people just don't agree with my approach, but I'm not trying to convince anybody anything. I've never tried to come on as a woman. I just let the message be dropped that if you want this job done and you want it done well, I'm your person. I go for excellence, performance, and without the gender. Now, maybe that's because of my age, but you see, we didn't have time to worry about whether you're male or female, trying to get in the door. I mean, I came along when America did not want us, black people, in the door. And so then you get in the door, and then what? Well, my thing is, I'm a woman. You can see that I am, but I'm a good one. If you're looking for proficiency, order, perfection, I'm your man. That's what I used to say.
I love it. Anybody else want to comment on that one?
I can. I can give you a specific example. I was on a board here of a local television station. I left this job to get out of this hole, right? And they had reported something. In 7 years, we had very good media coverage because we did good work as you continue the work. And then there was a story that was not good, and it was wrong. And it came out on maybe a Friday night or Saturday morning, and Peggy called me and said, "Did you see this?" No, I hadn't seen it. Over the weekend, they corrected the story 4 times. So that's how bad it was. I mean, it was just poorly done, rushed media. I don't know what happened. 4 times they attempted to correct it. It was never right. It was always wrong. And so we had a board meeting, and I said, well, that's not true. You know, I didn't wait for the board meeting. I called the station manager, the head of I raised hell Saturday, Sunday morning. And so the story, ultimately they had to pull it because it was really wrong. And so I said, I want to go on the news to correct it. Just like in the newspaper, when you make a correction, they print. So I want you to correct yourself the same way you did it wrong about the Urban League. And I pointed out to them that because we were a civil rights organization and a Black-led organization, I felt like they were much more free with the mistake. If you compare it, and I did, to like a Kosare Children's Charity or something, you know, nobody wants to say, I mean, you want to make sure you're sure if you're ever going to say something bad about Kosare because they do such amazing work and look who they do it for. So you never want to do that, right? So I say, have that same care for the Louisville Urban League. Well, I wanted to go on the news to make the correction, and I did. But as a part of going on the news, you have to write out your entire script. You write out the whole thing, and I did. And I sent it in, and I went on and I read it, and I corrected the story and said how I felt, and it was fine. Everything was fine. But we were supposed to receive a copy of it, the written, and it is also supposed to go out to all of the board members in writing, and then it should have been on the news page. And it wasn't. And so when we got to the board meeting, I asked, where is it? And nobody knew why it wasn't there. Yeah, you were on the news, you know, that should be good enough. But I said, no, but I think it should be documented that I made this correction, that the correction was made. Long story short, we fast forward and I'm told we'll deal with it later. Let's do it offline. And I thought offline meant sort of between us and privately. Later that day, an email went out to about 100 people. It was to me, copied to everybody. And it said, Sadiqa, we found the problem. The issue is that your writing was so poor, we could not share it publicly in its form. And so that's why we didn't share it. And so I responded to 100 people, and I said, I am sure that this is something that would silence a lot of Black people, and Black women especially, but let me explain to you who I am. I was the best writer in my law school class. I'm pretty sure my writing is fine, and just so that everybody on this chain can be the judge, I have attached it here for you to share. And that was WDRB. And most of you all should know that it was very public, and then we've never had another problem since then. So that was my time when they tried to play me, and they just got played again. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But the person is gone, I should say that. It's transitioned.
Well done, and beautifully stated.
You're welcome.
But you know, it is ridiculous to me that, you know, the intellectual power that you have and I mean, come on, you know you're busy. You're busy. And then you have to use your time to deal with nonsense, right? It is exhausting.
But
And
it's because you're Black.
that's it, right? Yes.
That's what I want people to realize first. We got first get beyond this color thing.
Yes.
Let me tell you a quick story. I'm going to try to make it quick. I got a call I had told my secretary to hold my calls because I had a visitor and I wanted to hear what they had to say. And there she came and interrupted me and said, I know you want to be interrupted for this call because you got a call here from Paris. And I said, oh yeah, I thought, you know, somebody in Paris is calling me to take a nice trip somewhere. And when I got on the phone, I'm sorry, it wasn't Paris, Rome. And I got on the phone, it was the lady from Rome, Georgia. Of course, I was disappointed. But she said, we are calling you because I'm representing the Women's Professional Organization in Rome, Georgia. Every year we have a big dinner honoring women, and you would just be perfect to be our speaker and honored guest. Well, I was flattered by it. So she said, so could you send us your biographical stuff and a photo right away because we're making decisions tomorrow night or whatever. And I said, yes. So we did that. In less than, she hadn't gotten her mail in less than 10 minutes, she called and said, are you sitting down? And I said, not really, but I will if I must. She said, because you're not going to believe what I'm going to tell you. This is the chair of the event in Rome, Georgia. She said, we got your package of information and saw that you were Black. And they said everybody in the program, on the committee, knew what I'd done. They were impressed, they said, with my stuff that I'd written up and concocted, most of it. But that they knew that I had had a successful career, so to speak. They didn't realize I was Black. And so I said, oh, gee. And I said, okay. She said, so I am so mad. This woman wasn't the most respected architectural firm in Rome, Georgia, but Rome is not that big anyway. But anyway, she said, I handed in my resignation and announced that you are Black, and now I want to get out. I don't want to be a part of an organization that would put this much effort toward trying to get excellence and exposure and experience and then turn the candidate down because she's Black. Well, I found out that, I told her, I'm calming this white woman, you know, like, oh, don't worry, I'm okay, I'll be all right, I'll live through this. I've had it happen similarly before. But that's this story, and I'm taking a little longer because I want to convey something here, that I found out that this was the biggest event that Rome has. It's the annual event. And so the maximum attendance is between 200 and 250 people. I don't care about sizes or numbers. I don't go by numbers anyway. And so now I'm canceled, and there I am. But I said to myself, I'll live through this, you know. But that night I went to a dinner, and at the dinner, and I thought about this story because the editor of our local newspaper, which is pretty big, was my seatmate. And he said, well, Zernona, what's been happening? You always got something exciting happening in your life. So what's going on now? And I said, oh, not much. I said, but I just got invited and disinvited because I'm Black. And he got the story. The next story is headlines in the paper. A very active civil rights worker, worker to Martin Luther King, gave all my background stuff, denied because of race. Well, the story got bigger and bigger. All it was an invitation for dinner, but now it's turned out to be pretty big. And so now the Rome chapter of women was an adjunct to a national organization. They were in session that Monday morning in Chicago at their national board meeting, and read the headlines about this popular, you know, they had very nice things to say. I really liked the article, you know. And then the president of the national organization telephoned me and said, Miss Clayton, we are so embarrassed. We're coming to Atlanta. We're, you know, adjourning our meeting. We're coming to Atlanta to personally apologize to you, and we want the media to be there. Well, let me tell you, I've never been such a performer before. But I washed my face and combed my hair and took all night to wear the right outfit because I'm going to be on television being apologized to by a bunch of white women. So now the cameras are there, and they went on to tell about how accomplished I was and looked like somebody made a mistake, and that's not the way the organization feels, and said, Miss Clayton, we are here now to publicly apologize to you for this awful, awful statement. As a result, we're going to prove to you we want you with us So we're going to invite you now to be our central speaker at our national conference in Hawaii with all expenses paid.
Okay. That's pretty good.
So now,
That's a good thank you.
and I act like, now I've got to respond, and I said, well, I was so chagrined by this indescribable act that I'm learning every day that bigotry is still with us. I'm sorry that the women in Rome could not share this moment because I think I would have given them an enjoyable evening. Sorry they didn't feel that way. But I accept, and now I'm talking proper, all the verbs and everything was matching. And I said, I accept your invitation and I will be there. When the cameras and the lights went off, I said, Hawaii, here I come. But let me tell you what happened. 200 people would have been maximum for that dinner in Rome. They sent me to Hawaii, and now all the little cities from Louisiana and every place else now is at the international convention. And guess what happened? 5,000 people.
Yeah. Wow.
5,000 people came to hear my speech. Yeah. And I took that moment to tell them what bigotry does, what racism does. When you choose a person based on color, you're losing out. So I said to me, Rome lost out. The organization of hundreds and thousands won out. I absolutely could not answer all the invitations to go. But right now, they had me on record as integrating more chapters of this national organization than anybody in the United States. Wow. It's amazing what racism sometimes can do. It can reverse the situation. I deal all the time with just trying to be black. I am very, very proud to be a woman. I never take low. I don't let men pull on me. Everybody knows I got boyfriends. I'll pick some today that I like the way they're looking here. So I'm going to leave here with some boyfriends from this audience. But I know I'm a woman. I know I've got talent in spite of the fact of whomever I am. But I am a woman, but I can do the job you want done because I'm capable and prepared. Now, don't think for any reason that I think I can shift over and forget that there are a lot of layers you got to get through to get to this. I just have come through at a time when I could afford to be brave and bold, yet honest. And that's where my success has been.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that with us. And it leads me to the next thought of support. When have you felt the most supported as a black woman?
Oh, when my husband balked when I said, are we going to get married or what? No, I'm just kidding. That question is kind of tricky because I think so long I felt like the sexual identity of who I am made me bold, I think. But I've been fortunate also. I've worked for strong men. Martin Luther King was a strong man. He was my boss for years. Ted Turner was a strong man, but even in those two cases, because you know them both, in those two cases, those two men, strong as they were, as successful as they were, came to me more times than I could count to ask my opinion on something they're getting ready to do. That's a flattering experience that these successful, rich in some cases, successful in others, came to me, this little black woman who just felt like my boldness will carry me over. I didn't shy away from being a woman. And so as I said, I think the age has a lot to do with it. When I came along, I was born black. I don't know if you knew that or not, but I have felt secure as a woman. And I know I'm capable of doing whatever I attempt to do. And so it has carried me, through the ranks.
When I think about support, first I think about my husband who has supported me and has been there for me, Antonio. I love him to death. And then I think about also my support system that I have in my sister girls. Just being able to bear it all and to talk to them about the issues that I'm having. And there's no judgment. There's no judgment. There is no judgment. And they listen and they give me the advice that I need. They let me cry and say it's okay to cry. They let me just be. Because sometimes you just need somebody in the space with you. Don't say anything. I'm not going to say anything. Let's just sit. And then just allowing that bond of sisterhood to hug you. That is how I feel supported. I know that being in the nonprofit area, I still think like a teacher, right? And so I had to call Michelle. And I was like, what is it that I have to do? And she was right there. And she gave me that wonderful advice. Kish, you give me wonderful advice. My daughter, who is getting ready to be 30 years old, gives me wonderful advice. So my husband gives me wonderful advice. So being able to be vulnerable to those who love you and want to see you succeed.
Let me interrupt on that point. I think we've come to the point, though, I think we'd all have to agree to this here. We've come to the point now where women, I get the Wall Street Journal every day to read where jobs women have. We're doing pretty good because I think the enlightened community is now the male community where they realize, shoot, this woman did the job better than some of those knucklehead guys, So I think our day is coming that we are being appreciated more and more because these women are running big companies and doing big jobs. I mean, if you see them, well, I guess they're sitting here too. They look all smart to me. That we're going places. So after a while, I think it'll all be over because we're going to realize that we got to be one big world, loving each other regardless to what you look like and what you do. Can you measure? Can you do it? Can you subsist? Can you do this? Rather than what is your sexual identity? I think we're going to get by. We're about to get by racism. I'm not sure. But I think that one time when we keep seeing these women with these big jobs, handling them very well, I think the mood is going to change.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. And I will say, because I keep getting flagged over here by Peggy. Thank you very much, Peggy. We have about 4 minutes to wrap up. So I would like for each of you to take some time just to share whatever you'd like to share with the folks that we're holding space with now. So I'll start with Brianna.
I can't remember the question I really wanted to answer. It was number 6, I think.
Name some things, 1 to 3 things you would like for people to learn or unlearn today.
Don't kick me out like Uncle Phil did on Fresh Prince. I really want people to unlearn, and y'all know I'm serious because I'm looking at y'all and I'm so nervous. The superhero trope for Black women. Black women are disproportionately affected by, dying when they give birth, dying from breast cancer, eviction rates. And to me, when we throw that cape on and say, I can fix it, I can take it, you're masking yourself as a superhero. They get beat up. In the next episode, they're fine. I'm not, period. Right. And I want people to know that sometimes Black girl magic is like hiding itself is really Black girl tragic. And that's just not for me. So don't say that to me no more. Thank you.
Yeah.
I want to shout out, oh shoot, it's not even down there, Miss D'Angela McMillan. She is the student that is with me today. Next week, we are going to be on the Tamron Hall Show, and she is going to represent the students that I work with. She is going to talk to Tamron Hall about a grant that we applied for called the Lewis Prize Grant, and we will see if we are going to be able to impact more youth here in the city. And hey, you know what I want y'all to do to learn? Just be happy. Just be happy and go volunteer in some schools. How about that? That's what I want you to do.
That? Yes. I want you all to get on the website perception.org so you can know where I work and what I'm doing, because I think it's important for the world, and you'll hear more from us. I hope that people know that when we talk so much about Black people and Black women, that is not to exclude others, but in fact because we really do believe that it is the answer to how you actually change the world. I think that we have so much possibility and potential among us. I think that we can make this country what we want it to be if we really try harder and if we are intentional about it and if we listen to people like these two and everybody up here, but especially, Brianna, what you said, it is so important, particularly now when mental health is so prevalent, you know, or the lack of mental health is so prevalent in our communities right now. I hope that people will really understand. And Carolyn Tandy says this thing that I have repeated over and over, and it is, yes, you may be a superwoman, but you are not superwoman. And so remember that, all of us. And then also to everyone, when you don't hear yourself, you don't see yourself on this stage, please understand that that is because we really do understand that if we can be okay, you will be okay.
Well, I look in this room and see black and white faces. This is the way the world ought to be. Nothing has happened here this morning that was catastrophic. Nobody had a fight here this morning. Everybody seemed to have been enjoying this wonderful meal this morning. The raison d'etre for our being here, to celebrate the work the Urban League has and is doing. Nothing happened that wasn't good. We had a good meal. We had fraternization. We heard some words of wisdom. We're going to leave here feeling better for having spent a good morning. I'm hopeful that after a while it will all be over. Thank you.
So I don't know if you have been as blessed as I have. This is kind of a selfish request for me to have these ladies up here, but I hope you did get something from this. And I'm so grateful for each one of you. And obviously, you're welcome back anytime, okay? So it's an open door invitation. So thank you for all of the wisdom, all the nuggets. And I hope this wasn't something you just heard, but that you actually receive. Let this be that good soil and let it grow in your spirit, all right? So let's clap it up for all of our panelists. Thank you so much. And I will share, I think we're getting ready to transition. Please hold your seats for a minute. We're going to transition into the impact remarks. And I am going to move this over here. We're going to transition into our impact remarks, but I do want to highlight each of our panelists will be receiving a gift from the Melanair Marketplace. So I want to shout them out again. In the back there, Nay Tribute, we love you. And they're beautiful baskets. So hopefully you all can shop and support. And I also wanted to share that they are going to be at the St. Matthew's Mall every weekend until the end of the year. And we'd love for you to support. We have some of our businesses from the Center for Entrepreneurship that will be spotlighted this weekend. So just wanted to highlight that as well. All right, well, I guess we will get into it. And I'm sorry, y'all, because I can't see the screens, but I'm assuming that we're moving into my slides. So I think it makes sense for us to share and highlight from this conversation that we just had why it's important for us to center the voices of Black people in America, but definitely here in Louisville, as we work toward facing the injustices that we have seen over time. I think there's so many things that have happened in the past 2 years that we're all just kind of coping with or trying to cope with, and nobody has really had the opportunity to healthily process that, right? So we're just left with the residue of what has happened without an opportunity to really share, to really share what it is that we need. We haven't even had space to really think about what it is that we need, right? For the most part. However, we had a group of Black leaders in Louisville during this time that everybody was experiencing all kinds of nonsense, COVID, trying to deal with things that just didn't add up and didn't make sense. Why the city, the police, why everybody's lying on what come on, everybody knew that major injustices had occurred, and there was no real acknowledgement of that. That hurts. And if we can't sit with that and say, this is where we are, and we have a new police chief that's gonna be coming on board, and we can't sit with this and say, this is where we are, and how do we make our city better? How do we bring people together instead of being divided? This is the time and the season that we're in. We have the opportunity to make that change, to actually be the person. You know what? So I grew up during a time when it was make that change, Michael Jackson song and all, right? And I remember thinking it was so like, okay, yeah, man, and yeah. But it's true. Like each person has the opportunity to make a change. You've all worked with toxic people. You work with somebody who's a naysayer of all the things that's happening and then how that spreads, right? It works on the flip side too. You probably also work with somebody who's very optimistic, who said, we're gonna get this done, let's do it. What do you need? How can I help you? You feel the difference of that, right? You see the difference of somebody throwing something out the window and just littering, thinking nothing of it, and then somebody picking that up and what that means, right? So we see these things and we have that power. So let's get into it. I want to share just kind of the impact of the year that we've had. As you know, we have done all the heavy lifting with community. So all of the work that we do has been in a very collaborative space. So I will share too that we want all these numbers here, people help to make that happen. So as I share some of these, and I hope our staff is still around and nearby, I'm gonna ask you to stand, but please know that nobody's singularly elevated for anything. Anything that matters, we did it together, okay? So if you look at just the metrics here, and I'm gonna fly through this because I'm already over time, I know this. So the 86% of the clients that we serve are African American, and 67% are women, which is why this conversation that we just had is so important. What are the lived experiences of Black women in Louisville? In our jobs, workforce development, we had over $11 million in new wages, 54 Kentucky Bills graduates, 304 job placements. And what I hope people take away from these numbers, not just the numbers, but the essence of everything's changed. How we work has changed. How we show up at work has changed. It's not come in, clock out for everybody. And so when you're talking about a placement, you're trying to match somebody with something that works for them, that works for their family, that gives them flexibility, that gives them family leave so they can take care of their family, right? So this is a huge lift, and we want to make sure that we're acknowledging that. If our workforce development folks can stand up, just so we can acknowledge the work that you do. USJP, we had 118 USJP participants. Thank you so much. And I should probably also say, you all, we have 96 members on staff at this time, and that is exponential growth in 2 years. So thank you so much. Justice. We have successfully advocated for people convicted of felonies to continue to have access to state scholarships for education. And I would like to shout out Simmons College for stepping up to really enter into this space and to be able to have that Pell eligible opportunity for folks that are incarcerated. So thank you so much for your dedication to that. 326 received expungement services. And for those who do not know what that means to somebody, some people can't even get in the door. Some people cannot even get in the door because their past is forever haunting them. They can't even see a future for themselves because their past stays with them, right? And an expungement helps us to help people dream again. So understand the impact. Thank you to Stephen Riley with the Riley Reentry Project. That is just transformative work. In education, sorry y'all. In education, we had 245 students participating in our education programs with 100% graduation rate, attending colleges and making sure that they are getting scholarships. Sorry. Can we get our education team to stand, please, so we can acknowledge them? They do tremendous work. Thank you so much. And as they're taking their seats, I just want to let you all know that we have entered into a space where we're providing intensive tutoring for students and ACT prep for free. And we know that every strategy is not for every child, but we do want folks to tap into those resources if it works for you or your child or for somebody that you know. And we're building this out, right? We need to make sure that every student has some kind of support that's a supplemental strategy for them, because we can't say everything's gonna happen in the schools. We can't put all the blame on the schools. It's too much of a lift for the educational system. So did want to make sure we hit on that point. Health, we had 145, helped 145 disconnected youth connect to services through the Louisville Youth Network, which is an amazing partnership. And 534 Louisville residents received emergency deposit assistance. 236 were children. What does that mean? It means that your car broke down. You can't get to work. You know you need to get to work because you're gonna lose your job. You need help right away. You don't have an emergency fund, a personal emergency fund. You've already asked your mama, you already asked your sister, you already asked your cousin, nobody can help you. And we step up to provide that support however is needed. That's what that is. So let's clap it up for that. We provided over 1,226 connected those folks to wraparound services. And then in housing, and I will pause here for a second because we are in an affordable housing crisis in this city. And I think most people know that, but apparently some people don't. So I'm saying it again, we have an affordable housing crisis in this city. So keep that in mind as you go about your work, whatever boards you serve on, whatever spaces you reside in. If you hear any mention of folks trying to get rid of or displace families, an alarm should trigger in your mind. This is a problem. What are we doing? Why are we doing this? Okay? I just want to lead with that. But this is what we did in the past year. 939 participants were able to benefit from the budget and credit education classes that we provide. We had 169 to participate in home ownership counseling, and 108 became new home owners. It's a big deal. That is a big deal. And we have an amazing housing department, so I'd like for our housing staff to take a stand in acknowledgement. Thank you so much. It's a whole team of wonderful people helping to support, and I know y'all not all sitting together, but thank you so much for the work that you all do, because it's a lot. And if you are hearing from people who have said, we've reached out to housing, we haven't heard back yet, it's because there's so many people reaching out. So we are trying to continue to build those efforts as well. And I should shout out, although you can see, 17.3 million in new mortgage investment. All right. Moving into Black business. So we have had the opportunity to do some really great work in partnership with the Russell Business Tech Incubator and Melanair Marketplace and LIBA, some other folks that I'm probably leaving out. But it is devastating to know that we do not have a robust Black business community in Louisville. It's devastating to know that when you also know, on the other hand, that we used to have a very robust Black business sector in Louisville. So how do we get back there? That has to be an intentional effort. And so we're grateful for the movement that we have in this space. It has to be collective, it has to be collaborative. And we're just sharing some of the highlights from what this is really a new path for us to be very intentional about building out this space. So we created the Center for Black Businesses to really bolster these efforts. So this Center for Entrepreneurship helps to provide all kinds of support. You can literally come in, and we are trying to work around this, so Cynthia, don't kill me for saying this, but you can come in with just a dream, just a dream. Now, Cynthia and her team will let you know that it's just a dream, and all the things that she'd like for you to do to make your dream have a little more meat to it, right? So, but we have been able, just in this very short period of time, to assist in 192 clients. We have so many more that are trying to get through the pipeline just to make these connections. But what we're not doing is just rolling people through. We're making very intentional efforts to do that intake process with them and really provide the supports that they need. So keep that in mind. If you hear people saying, well, I called the league and I left a message yesterday and they ain't got back to me. Well, this is why. And $16,000 in professional service fees. So we have helped clients with free legal, accounting, marketing services, and more. And I will say there's an element to this. It's not just the support, but it's sometimes people just have a fear of their own ignorance. So you don't even step into spaces that you really should step into because you're like, well, I don't want them to, I don't really know anything. We hope that what we're providing is an open door for anything, any question, nothing's off limits. We're all learning together in this space of how to support you better. And then Rebound, amazing thing. So 100% MBE participation in 11 new homes developed. That was 9 single family homes, 1 duplex, and 1 3-bedroom townhouse rental created. We had $2.9 million in housing investment. Rebound, if you're here, stand up. Thank you, Rebound, for the work that you do. And I have an announcement coming up soon about the tremendous work that our Rebound team is engaged in. And then we want to highlight just our work with this very center that we're sitting in. And I don't know, I think Sadiqa maybe already left, but, oh, okay, oh, there you go, you moved, okay. We just want to acknowledge the fact that we are in this space, and I know we were able to do this last year as well, but the fact that this is a reality, to be able to say that we have this much participation of folks coming in and out of this building for various events, for us to be able to sit here. So when I first started at the League, we were at a hotel having this event, and the fact that we can do this here, I mean, that was a lift of our previous leader, and so we just want to acknowledge that. It's amazing, amazing work. And so over the past year, 63,000 attendees, 804 events, 80% of the building being occupied with at least one event during the year. And I will plug that we do have a really great event, kind of a first-time thing here in terms of a standalone concert with Tank and Angie Stone coming on December 10th. So if you can participate, and we'd love for you to come and enjoy that night. I think it's just going to be a night full of love and fellowship fun. I don't know if it's in the agreement for Tank to be taking his shirt off and stuff, but it's in the agreement. Okay, it's in the agreement. So if you're into that, so and we also have a special gift for table 51. Table 51. Everybody at that table gets 2 free tickets to the concert. Yay! Yes. So we just want to make sure that people understand that this, that it doesn't become something that is just a back of your mind kind of thought, that the work and the energy that goes into this space is not just a venue. Like, we are really trying to create a lot of opportunities here for people. And, how do we envision what that means, what that looks like? And I mean, I have people come to me all the time. Like, my husband is the coach for the women's team at Simmons College, is doing an amazing job there. So let's clap that up and acknowledge. Almost got a win against Bellarmine last night. So just grateful for those connections. But in talking with him, Dr. Cosby, like, what if we had a HBCU basketball classic here, and we, brought in folks and we could do that, right? Like, we're imagining the things that we can do to support. So just keeping the vision going in the right direction. So to that point, I'm to the moving forward piece of scaling the work together. So a path forward was laid out in a way that I think many are still trying to figure out exactly what it is, what does it mean, how do we do this, how do I get involved? And the work is so beautiful to me because it is a way of saying, we have 2 things that happen in Louisville that I've noticed. We have people who have a lot of resources with no vision, no strategy, or they have a vision or strategy, but it's not effective. Or you have people with a lot of vision and strategy and not a lot of resources. Hardly ever do you have vision, strategy, resources all together, right, to get the things done. So we want to get past the people with the resources just meeting and saying, now, how can we fix this? You can't alone. You can help. We'd love for you to be at the table and provide where you can. You got resources, bring them on to the table. But the people who should be leading the vision and the strategy are the people who have been most impacted by the injustices that we're trying to correct, right? So that's how we do it together. So I'm getting flagged again, so I'm trying not to fly, but I will kind of fly a little bit. We're wrapping up. Education. Our goal in education with Path Forward is to have 33,350 students served over the next 5 years by providing intensive tutoring and helping with college persistence, college acceptance and college persistence. And something that I think we really need to know is that money doesn't just fix education. We've had all these announcements, we're so grateful for the money that's come to JCPS, the money that's come to the league, but we need people. We need people power. So what I'm asking for you all to recognize in the education space is that we are starting a movement to encourage people to adopt schools, to really wrap around schools in ways that we never have before, right? And this is going to be a challenge to everybody, corporate sponsors, faith-based organizations, individuals that just want to step up. So be on the lookout for that because they know they need it. And this isn't an unwelcomed invitation. I did talk to Dr. Polio about this just to make sure he would be okay with it and it's not unwelcome help. But this is the kind of work that we need to be doing. Our kids need us desperately now. And then we also want to really talk about how we eliminate the barriers that exist. Transcript holes that are keeping folks who are already on the path toward whatever they're trying to do and accomplish from being able to do that, right? And I think hopefully we have some traction and movement with the new president coming to U of L to be able to talk through some of these things. And, you know, it shouldn't be this way, right? We shouldn't have, gosh, I'm starting to hear my voice and I don't like it. I'm sorry, y'all. It's just like reverse. But anyway, let me get over me. Okay, housing goal. So we're looking at 3,000 new affordable rentals or homes with 1,200 new Black homeowners. This is all 5-year goals that I'm announcing here. The goal is to increase affordable housing and to really respond to this crisis. We know we can't do it alone, but I will share that we are planning to create a mixed use space next to our headquarters, where we will have 8 affordable housing units on the 2nd floor, and we will occupy office space on the bottom floor in order to provide support for those families and true wraparound support. So we're looking forward to sharing more information about that and building out there. All right, Black business goal. We're looking at 500 stable and strong Black-owned businesses. And you know, that is another shout out to the Center for Entrepreneurship and how that happens and how we bring the work together. And our very key partners, I think I probably flied past, I don't know, I think I was going too fast with that slide and I flew past it and didn't get the mention to all of the partners that are engaged in the PATH work. And we want to continue to build out those partners. So as I'm talking about these different areas, if you want to be plugged in, please do reach out to us, because we want to encourage the movement in this way. So the big slide. Oh, there we go. Thank you for sharing that. The big slide of the five-year lift. What you see on the screen and what seems like a really big number is not big enough. $1.1 billion is the figure that we got to when we just focused on education, housing, and Black business. We didn't build in the other pillars that I just talked to you about. But in 5 years, we want to raise $1.1 billion to support this work. What does that mean? Is that the league gets $1.1 billion to do whatever the league? No, we're talking about the collaborative work that we want to do in partnership with all of the partners that were just on that screen, and any other partners that want to step up to the table to do this transformative work in our city. And I will say that we had the permission to share that we have a national funder, and we'll share the information later, but that has donated $2 million to support this work. So just want to highlight the fact that we have national folks who get what we're doing and what we're, you know, why it's important and why it matters. And we just want more of a local lens so that we understand how we can support it locally as well. All right, I think I did it, although I'm over time. We're to the place where you can give back, and you've probably seen that rotating on the screen. So give if you can give, and you can, right? It's not just financial. We want you also to step up as volunteers. We know we get requests from folks who are like, hey, I have a swimming pool that's in my backyard and some skis that I'd like to donate. And we don't really necessarily always know what to do with that. But what we'd really love for you to do is just say, hey, I want to be a volunteer. And then whenever we have something we can share with you that makes sense, we'll share it. And you can plug in however you can based on what we're trying to do. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you for holding this space with us. Love all of you, so thank you very much. Oh, sorry. Board members, can our board members stand, please? If wherever you are. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I want to shout out our board members, because we have board members who are not just placeholders. They really understand what we're trying to do. They're invested in it. We have 100% board participation and sharing. Yes, that's a big thing. Thank you, Carolyn. Clap that up. Yes. So we want to thank you all. And I think our policy team, we didn't get to highlight policy team because I flashed past Justice. Can policy stand up if you're in the building? All right. Listen, policy team listen, I'm sorry, I was about to do a whole cheer for y'all, but we are able to move in a very nimble way when we need to respond to the ridiculous things that happen in this city on a regular basis. And this policy team helps us to do that. And so I appreciate the work that you have put forth. Thank you, and I think that's it. All right.
Please welcome back to the stage LUL Board Chair Kimberly Sisnett.
They gave me a mic, y'all, so I might just drop some bars. How about that? I'm kidding. So we have the power to make change. I don't know about you, but that statement resonated with me. I'm going off script, Sarah, sorry. But I just wanted to really emphasize that because we do have the power to make change, and it takes all of us. So you heard from Dr. Price about the great work the League is doing, right? Can we get a round of applause for the work that the League is doing? And we know we can't do it alone, so thank you to all that have already made a contribution today. Don't forget that you can support our work by texting LUL to 243-725. Important to note, LG&E will be matching the first $5,000 dollar for dollar, so please clap for LG&E. Thank you. I also want to stress what Dr. Price said. There are many different ways that you can donate, right? Certainly money, but also time and your expertise. So please contact the League for anything that you want to donate, any time that you want to donate. We will always welcome volunteers. Can you join me in thanking our esteemed panelists today for their wisdom and their stories? A special thank you goes to Ms. Clayton. We are so honored to have you come back to Louisville. Fun fact, she touched my shoulder during one of the breaks. This jacket is going in the closet. I'm never wearing it again. If you haven't already, please visit the vendors in the back. And don't forget to visit Melinari Marketplace at St. Matthew's Mall in the weekend for all of your holiday shopping needs. To our presenting sponsors, Superior Maintenance Company, Bean Suntory, Kroger, along with the other sponsors, Churchill Downs, PNC, Humana, Centralwell, LDG Development, LG&E, and Louisville Public Media, this event would not have been possible without your generosity, so thank you. I also want to thank the entire staff of the Louisville Urban League, all 96 of us. Thank you. We would not have been able to have this Impact Luncheon without you. LUL staff, I'm proud to serve alongside of you. What a wonderful group of individuals. And I know that Dr. Price have already asked the board members to stand, but because this is my first term as chair, I will also thank you for your support and ask you to please stand again. I am very fortunate to work alongside all of the board members for the Louisville Urban League. And finally, did you all enjoy yourselves today? Me too. So let's keep this party going. Tank and Angie Stone, as mentioned, will be here in this building in the West End next Saturday, December 10th. Table 51, you may see me there. Tickets are available on Ticketmaster or at the Yum Center box office Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And thank you again to each of you for being here today and standing with the League. As remember, we cannot do this alone. We need your support, and there's so many ways that you can donate and donate your time. So thank you so much.
Now would you please stand for our closing prayer given by A.J. Nelson, a junior at Atherton High School.
Get it off. Thank you. Oh, it's different up here. Before I pray, I want to let you guys know that my name is AJ Nelson, and I'm a part of the Urban League program, Project Ready, a program that helps ACT tutoring. Thank you. A program that helps with ACT tutoring and getting students ready for college and the workforce that helps, and has truly blessed me. And but it's enough about me. Let's get into this prayer. Now let us pray. Dear Lord, I thank you for waking us up this morning. Thank you for allowing everyone in this building to get here safely. Thank you for allowing the Urban League organization to organize this beautiful event. I pray for the new CEO, Dr. Kish Kumi Price, and I come to you asking to give her confidence, authority, boldness, and strength to lead this organization within your will. I want to pray that you will appoint the right people around her to carry forward your will within her. I pray that you allow Dr. Price and the Urban League staff to come up with new ideas that will bless your people and carry out your will in your way. I pray for the children that will be a part of this organization and that they will be blessed and helped when they walk through the doors of the Urban League. I come asking you, God, that this organization be prosperous and wealthy. I pray for unity. I pray for their relationships with their current and new community partners and that you will expand their territory, I pray that you allow them to help the community to their best abilities. I pray that you bless everyone in this room and everyone that walks in and out of these doors. And Lord, last but not least, I ask that you, God, give us safe travel and mercies on our way home. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. I want to thank the Urban League for this opportunity.
Thank you for attending the 2022 Louisville Urban League Annual Impact Luncheon. If you have a red envelope to turn in, please hand it to a staff member on your way out. Drive safely, and thank you for coming.